Hey everybody, this is Rydo and we are back to Ni no Kuni. Let's continue. What's interesting here is on top of using Gateway and going back to the Motorville, just the Earth as we kind of know it, um, which I wasn't really expecting that to happen this quickly. We're looking for Timmy the cat, who is apparently the soul mate of the king cat in... what's the name of the other world? Did they even give it a name? They haven't even said it enough for it to stick in my head. The cat is in... Well, we saw it at the very, 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 very beginning of the game 5 hours ago. In this Layla's milk bar. But why is this called a milk bar? That's not what a milk bar is. A milk bar, for the most part, is a bar-like environment for underage people who can't drink alcohol. Maybe you would get fancy and call like a soda pop ice cream store type place a milk bar. But clearly the store is a general grocery store. So they've gotten very odd with the name. And I guess we could look at some of these other buildings and see if the names are fancier. Here, you have music store, butcher store, a boots and fine footwear store, an antique store. They're very generic descriptions of what the stores are and very accurate. So only Layla's milk bar seems to be slightly confusing there. Julie's Jewels is a little bit creative. Page Turner's Books is creative. I'm wondering if I'm going to end up fighting people inside of Motorville, or if I am just going to end up maybe fighting some broken-hearted people and having to save the day there. Even if this is just a general grocery store, looking around here, it's not like there's a significant amount of milk products out and about. I'm not seeing any butter or cheeses. Milk would probably be refrigerated, but I'm seeing a lot more sugar and apples and soap and just very generic things. And then I would almost wonder if maybe this is more of that Japanese sentimentality that you have kind of a big-chested lady and her store is called a milk bar as kind of just an inside joke. We'll be interested to see if anybody reacts to Oliver being dressed up differently. Oh, Oliver, seeing you, I don't know what to say, dear. It's fine, Miss Leela. I'm okay. You are? Well, I'm pleased to hear that, honey. But if there's anything I can do, let me know, won't you? Remember, in Motorville, and very possibly in reality, Oliver's mother is dead due to his own fault, basically. Actually, there's something you can do for me right now, Miss Layla. Can you tell me where Timmy is? Is he here in the store? Well, now that you mention it, I don't think I've seen him. Timmy, where's my Timmy Toldrum? That's a cat. He must have run off somewhere, the little rascal. He's probably gone exploring, huh? Oi, Ollie boy, does this little situation remind you of anything? It sure does. It's just like what happened with King Tom. Bingo. We've got ourselves a missing cat in one world and a missing fat cat in another. And I reckon the reason why while that's not a word. You can't go Y apostrophe LL be the same too. See, and if this is supposed to be a kid's game, having Drippy with his kind of misspelling of your, Y-O-U-E-R, in the subtitles, and then while, W-H-Y apostrophe L-L, not being an English word, at least not in the United States Americanized English. Track down Timmy and you're sure to find the vital clue that will help solve the mystery. There's sharp review, and this is your patch, ain't it? You know it like the back of your hand. I'll solve the case of the missing cat in no time. I'm awfully sorry I couldn't help you, dearie. But you did help. Thanks, Miss Layla. I did? Well, alright then. Goodbye now, dear. Goodbye. G-bye. Miss Layla. Righto, Ollie boy. Let's start out what you know best, shall we? Round your house, by your house, I mean. Sure, let's go. So yeah, if this is supposed to be a kid's game, you would think that the language should be speaking on the same level. So if this is a game potentially for 10-year-olds, if this is kind of like that same age demographic as Pokemon, then you would want to speak at that level and have all the dialogue at that level, and you would want the dialogue and the text to be correctly and accurately spelled. And they seem to have not put any thought into that at all. Let's see, this is just going to be a sewer. Great, not a fast transport thing. And here we have the ghost girl, where we cast a spell so we can speak to the ghost. I'm thinking if the boy who is the Sage of Ages that we ran into in the last recording turns out to be the spiritual doppelganger to your father, that might be the case too. I wouldn't be surprised if it's kind of a double twist where it's the boy you met is like the spirit and the good part of the soul of your father, and then the bad corrupting part of your father became the dark djinn, and that's going to be the revolution, is that your father is both a Sage of Asia's spirits that helps you and this. I don't know who this girl is going to be though, unless this is supposed to be your mother's doppelganger in child form for really no reason. What happens though if somebody dies in one world? It doesn't seem... It seems like the events of one world magically shift and connect to the events of another world. So if a person dies in one world, they normally would also die in the other world, which just makes the other world feel even more magical and unrealistic. Oliver. I'm sorry, Oliver. It's you. We haven't looked in your house yet, have we, Ollie boy? I'll run over there and check now. Back in a bit. I don't think Drippy is seeing this ghost. Sure, Mr. Drippy. ... I'm sorry, Oliver. I'm sorry you're all alone. I almost wonder if maybe this is the White Witch's soul that's trapped in this, or the White Witch's copy and duplicate that would be trapped in this world. Huh? Your mummy. You know about that? When Mom died, I thought she'd be gone forever. I thought I would be all alone. But now I can help her. I just need to finish what I started. Oh, I wanted to ask you, the wand, the one I found. Did you leave it for me? Without it, I could have never gone to the other world. Maybe you don't even know what I'm talking about, but if it hadn't been for that wand, I'd still be all alone. Well, it would be funny if it turns out that the bird left the wand, which we haven't seen anything about that evil bird since the intro. Really? Really, really? Really, really? Hooray, I hope you can save your mummy, Oliver. Thanks, but who are you? How do you know my name? I'm P. I've always known you, Oliver. Always? So your name is P. Her hair is green, I guess that makes sense. Huh? Yes, I'm P. Oh, hey P. Have you seen a big old cat? His name is Timmy Toldrum. Has stripes all over and he's kind of fat. Mr. Kitty? I know Mr. Kitty. Mr. Kitty? I'll take you to Mr. Kitty Oliver. Follow me. She must mean Timmy, right? Oi, Ollie boy, no signs of old fatty the Mog in the house, I'm afraid. What are you doing standing around here on your own anyway? I might just know where to find Timmy, Mr. Drippy. You what? How? Where? Please, Pete, can you show us? What's all this then? Are you alright, Ollie boy? What's funny is Drippy does seem to be able to see all the other ghosts. This definitely feels like this is a quest that, once again, is getting back to something they would have expected you to do in like the first hour of gameplay. And they made too many early game quests for their own good. It would be fairly boring to have an entire act, though, in Motorville and have nothing attack you. So I'm kind of glad they tried to move fairly quickly into the other world. But coming back to this, they're really slowing things down. Is this where Timmy is, P? Shh. Huh? Listen, what's that? Squeak, squeak. A mouse. Is there something through there? Is there? Timmy? Oi, Timmy boy, pull yourself together, man. Looks like we better take him back to Leela, ain't it, Ollie boy? So the mouse must have bit the cat. Right, thank you for showing us, P. She's already gone. Oh, but she was. Where'd she go? You could only go so far down this path of him seeing a ghost that nobody else sees, too. What are you standing around for, lazy bones? Get a flip on it. Alright, so he's just going to carry the cat. And so that does kind of feel like this is going to be all we do here. Is we'll find the cat, return the cat, and get him treated. I assume he's not just going to be brokenhearted also, and that he needs more enthusiasm. I'm assuming more that he has actually been bit by or scratched by the mouse. And that's going to tell us that we have to go in the dungeons and fight the mice in the dungeons of the other world. It might have been a smart move to not make rounded curves for these lantern posts, because they don't look particularly smooth when you get really close to them. Had they just made a more straight line up, straight line across, and straight line down. They also are 3D, where while there are 3D models in this whole game, it's all textured to look like a soft cell CGI image, and it's really hard to do that with metal. I guess it'll be interesting to see if we ever even end up in Motorville at nighttime enough that it would make sense to have the lampposts. You could say the same certainly for this whole place. You could have had half as many groceries in this place, half as many barrels. This is funny because, as the story has explained it, humans can't see Mr. Drippy. So the cat is apparently floating on its back right now, just in the middle of the air. And I guess humans are just not going to question it. It may be more that there's a magical aspect to it where their brains just block out anything that's weird, more than they just can't directly see magical creatures. Miss Layla, it's Timmy. Oh my goodness. My Timmy children, whatever happened to you? Oh, thank you, dearie. You brought him all the way back home to mommy. Wasn't he heavy? No, not really. Is he okay? Oh, don't worry about Timmy, Oliver. It's nothing serious. He's just a little tired, aren't you, Timmy dear? It doesn't take much to tire out a big old boy like you, does it, Snookums? Is that all? Worried sick. I was worried flipping sick about him. But what was Timmy doing all the way down at the garage? Well, dearie, one of my customers told me all about it. She said that Rusty's garage is just crawling with mice. My dear old Timmy Toldrum just loves to chase the little devils. Timmy loves to chase mice, but he's so fat. Thank you so much, Oliver, dear. Oliver, dear. Now, I know that's where he disappeared to. I can stop worrying about him. He was just getting a little exercise, weren't you? My Timmy Toldrum. I guess I could learn a thing or two from you, huh? Trippy, making fun of her being fat. You flipping right, you could. Okay, Miss Layla, I have to go now. It was nice seeing you. And you, dearie. Just let me know if there's anything you need now, won't you? Tidy, you've worked it out too, I expect, ain't it, Ollie boy? I don't think so, Mr. Trippy. Come on, man. Timmy disappeared because he ran off chasing a mouse, didn't he? So the mouse is the clue, ain't it? Is it? King's Tom disappearance has to do with mice too? Got it in one. Exactly what it has to do with mice is a whole nother question, though. I'm sure I heard someone saying something about mice over in our world. And we should go back to Ding Dong Dell and investigate. I just know we'll find something. Rydo, Ding Dong Dell it is. And see, at this point, it would just make sense to automatically teleport you instead of making me actually cast a spell. And yeah, maybe you could have done that with a flashback or something instead. Or maybe you don't need anything there. Yeah, that was 20 minutes, 15 minutes. Let's call it 15 minutes of gameplay. So that wasn't too much in Motorville. I think that'll be fine, really, if that becomes the case in the future, that we just jump over to Motorville very quickly and then jump back. Hey, Oliver, I think I heard King Tom's voice. It was coming from down Ding Dong Well. Ding Dong Well? Yes, I could hear it coming from the other side of that gate. It was definitely King Tom, I'm sure of it. Ding Dong Well, El. You said there were mice living down there, ain't it? Yes, the place is full of mice. That's why I'm standing here keeping guard. Mice and cats really don't get along, you see. Oh, Knickers, I know what's happened. King Tom's been kidnapped by the mice. Kidnapped? That's right. You saw how Timmy went after the mice in your world. Well, in this world by here, the tables have turned. It's the only explanation. Mon, crikey. It's a good job I'm here to put two and two together for you, ain't it? If King Tom's been kidnapped, we'll need to rescue him. Are you going down Ding Dong Well, Oliver? Then I'm coming with you. Even the city sounds fictional and childlike. Don't be deaf, man. This is a job for professionals, ain't it? Not some underage vigilante with a saucepan for a helmet. I'll be okay. I have my friend with me. So, we're gonna get him as our first companion, I guess. Look at that. A flipping familiar. Well, I never. He followed me home when I went to play in the woods, and he's really strong. If he's with me, I'll be fine. You don't quite get it, do you, Sunshine? Fighting with familiars is flipping hard. Your average person can't just jump into the fray and start ordering them around. You need to be a wizard like Ollie Boy here. Okay, then, Oliver, you can have my familiar. Gee, thanks, Tommy. Thank you very much. Alright, so he just gives it to you. Alright. We'll stick with the default names. I don't see a reason to rename things. We better head down there, huh? So we don't get the boy as a companion. I thought we would get a companion in Motiville and spend more time in Motiville, but that didn't happen, so I was wrong about that. We do get another familiar. It is going to be questionable how you control things if we do have three people, three potential wizards, running around with three of their own separate familiars. In a lot of RPG games, they start to mostly automate themselves and fight alongside you, and you don't have direct control of the other side companions, and that can speed things up a little bit. It tends not to speed things up that much, though. So I'm wondering if the mice in this world look like mice and how big they are. Indeed, we had. Leave it to us, Tommy, my lad. Okay, be careful, Oliver. Hey, Ollie boy, it looks like you can get that new familiar of yours to psych up. I can, gee. What does that mean, Mr. Drippy? Well, it means it sort of builds up its strength for a bit, ain't it? So it can give the baddies a proper whack, like. Once a familiar is psyched up, instead of attacking like normal, you can let it go wild. And when a familiar goes wild, it attacks for longer, does loads more damage. Gee, that sounds real neat. It gets better, Ollie boy. This new technique of yours makes it easier to cancel enemies' actions. I wasn't really expecting that we could cancel actions as well. Cancel enemies, what? Yeah, man, I should have told you about this earlier, I suppose. Wow. We're still in tutorial mode, and the game is even telling us it should have told us stuff earlier. Some creatures have a pretty nasty tricks up their sleeves, see? But give them a whack when they're getting ready to try one, and they won't be able to pull off. It'll be cancelled, ain't it? Cancelling enemy actions like this is much easier when you go wild, so it's a good way to keep yourself safe from harm and all. The only thing is, familiars that can psych up can't defend for toffee. It just ain't in their nature, the feisty little blighters. Anyway, now that you have two little mates, you'll soon see for yourself that all creatures are different. I guess I will. Okay, well. So, this guy's a level 4. As far as equipment, we've got nothing for him that we can equip. There seems to be subcategories under the icons, because you click on like an accessory and this says patches, but then you click on this accessory and it says fangs. Alright. Let's go ahead and equip Sandblast. I guess I didn't equip that. This one doesn't have another ability. Then you have to come over here. This guy's fullness is still the same. So, this increases green. So, it seems like to me, since this is blue, none of these treats will work. Let's see. Well, maybe it will. I guess we'll just have to give him a chocolate and see what happens. Nope, that seemed to work fine. Magical defense. Hmm. See, evasion, accuracy, accuracy. I don't know if I should be using any of these at the moment. So, I think I'll just leave it at that. And I guess the increase green square is just how much something increases. So, these 3 sweetie pies that we got for doing a quest turned into being very useful. Things. Oh, they might be way more useful. There's definitely a case here where looks like the gate's locked, Ollie boy, but the king's down there, and we don't have the key. What are we gonna do? Calm down, man. You don't need a key. You're a wizard, ain't it? Just cast the spell old King Tom taught you. You think I can open it using magic? I could give it a try, I guess. We're really not refilling our magic when inside cities. Well, you kind of feel like that would just refill automatically. Well, I guess you're supposed to stay then. Tidy, it's open. Now we can go find the king. That we can. In we go, Ollie boy. Oh, and you can use that spell to open locked chests as well, by the way. If you find a blue chest lying around, you can cast Spring Lock and plunder away at your heart's content. Blue chests open with Spring Lock. Got it. And that's, I guess, why Spring Lock is blue in text. Thanks, Mr. Trippy. Yeah. My concern here is if we look at creatures and familiars, there is a lot of creatures here, and each of them have 3 evolved forms. So, is this going to be a case where you go more for a level up of the early creatures and get them to max levels, and then you'll just collect a bunch of creatures that couldn't possibly ever actually be your mainstay companions? Or are you going to end up getting all of these creatures and potentially level them all up to a max level? Or are we going to need specific types of creatures for specific fights? Nightmares. Yeah. If 9 is the total number of creatures that exist, or 9 is the total number of creatures you can have, and then in your fighting, picking the right 9 or even a good selection of 9 this early in the game is going to be pretty hard. Although I would almost certainly question if an Arcana class isn't probably one of the final characters that you're going to end up with. Of course, this is the problem otherwise with all RPG games, is that you're going to potentially just hold on to items that you don't need to hold on to. A dell is, I think, a kind of body of water or body of land surrounded by water. But I don't think Ding Dong Dell as a city is in the right orientation to actually be a dell. We saw some little judderiness, low frame rate, frame drops when we loaded in here. But I can't really say I think that that's something wrong with my computer or anything. I imagine that this game was probably pretty framey for PC in its original format, and the remaster probably fixed a bunch of things but didn't fix everything. Japanese people are not used to making PC games, and And so they have not learned all the tricks, and let's be honest, nobody else has learned all the tricks as far as making good, smooth frame rate games either. It's almost a miracle that you can go a full 60 hours and not run into at least one or two judders, and even one judder every couple hours is not that unusual. You would think it would be fairly easy to render something that looks like this, but that's not really the case, because it's just going to come down to optimizations. And coming into a new area, a new dungeon, probably loaded in a whole bunch of textures and maybe even shader maps, and that's the thing that tends to cause computers to take a while. Crikey, it's damp as anything down here. My lantern will go moldy if I don't watch out. It would really get moldy? Oh, B5 faux fum. I smell the blood of a bucket load of proper feisty beasties. Careful, Ollie boy. You have to watch yourself in here from here on in, Mon. Things could get ugly. Okay, Mr. Drippy, I will. Notice that he just lied again, and I think he's actively trying to distract from being caught about that. Look, lively, Ollie boys, there's a monster coming your way. Let's deal with it quickly and go look for the king. That's the spirit. And remember, you've got the other familiar that lad gave you now as well, ain't it? Battle should be a little bit easier with two little blighters on your team. Double trouble. Neato. So I couldn't sneak around that guy.
Let's do it.
Alright. So... I guess we need to level this character up. Last, double the familiars, double the fun, and double the possibilities. Swap between your familiars, just press the left bump, and then pick one with the left trigger, right trigger. Okay. That's simple enough even for you, ain't it? Tight, let's get to it, shall we? Alright. Let's see what Psych Up does. Go wild. So you can see he's dead there. And I also didn't save. These fights for easy mode are not easy. Alright, let's just lose all of our gold. And let's go ahead and make a safety save. We can't do it here, can we? Game should have told me to save. Alright. Now I wonder if this is a case where just because my other character is level 5 already, that he is now going to be the person I am required to use. Let's see what Sandblast does. That blinds him. This is not a one-hit kill, even though we powered him up a lot. And we got a fairly large amount of XP for our other guy, and gold, which makes me think that the game is designed to kind of be self-balancing. Let's see if we can sneak up on this guy. Did we get the first hit?
Come on. Here goes.
You actually push the buttons fairly slow, but you can just tab buttons and press the buttons early and lock yourself into sequences. But it's very far away from being like direct control. So I could see myself fairly quickly wanting to just always enter the fights myself, because I just want to directly attack.
Watch this.
But clearly this is the point where you are supposed to attack. Let me see what happens if I press the buttons as he's attacking and see if that gets me any extra damage. It doesn't seem like it does. Now, I don't think our guy has leveled up here yet. His fullness is going down, however. So fullness goes down as the stamina goes down. So I can potentially just level up this guy. Let's see. Yep. Let's just go ahead and give him the sweetie pies. And then magical defense or regular defense might be something to consider later. Alright. Now, if it is a case that this guy's fullness goes down even when he doesn't fight, then that would once again, I think, point us towards a thought of it just being kind of difficult or impossible to keep everyone at fullness.
Let's go.
Let's see. Cut loose. Yep.
We did it.
There's definitely a danger, certainly. Now that he's fully leveled up, we want to go back and check. There is this danger, certainly, that this is the main gameplay mechanic, and yet this is also kind of the point where it might get very boring. Yeah, I definitely am not going to have enough resources to constantly keep this guy full. And I'm still not sure what the growth limit does. You kind of wish you could like highlight some of these other stats and come down here and get some indication of what they are. So, see if we can sneak up on this guy. Yes, we can.
We can do this. Here goes. We did it.
And you just get gold. And we're trying to keep an eye out to see if we start to get fewer amounts of gold. Okay. So this is a path. And this is a path. if you weren't doing these animations, I need to keep an eye on my health. Yeah, if you weren't doing these little animations to transition in and out of each of these fights, and if this was just in the overworld, things would work a lot better and faster. That they are really wasting a lot of time. Alright, let's try something here. Can I form other familiars? Right, so regeneration doesn't work. Let's try form familiar. Nothing happens. Okay. So you have a spell to form a familiar, but it seems like you can't use that spell. And I feel like I'm probably just grinding here at this point. That they've given us a narrow pathway, so that's all we can really do is try and run. But by grinding, we are gonna get XP, and we're gonna get items, gold. Well, I guess I do want to kind of question how much time I want to spend going through this all. Particularly playing on easy, it may not be really that necessary to grind. And for every level I go up, I might be also just changing the game balance so it levels up the boss battles the same way.
Watch this. Here we go. We did it.
You have this weird thing, certainly, because you want to keep your health at maximum, but you kind of want to keep your magic points in the middle. It doesn't put you in the best situation if you pick up a magic pellet.
Let's go.
And it gives you 0 as a return. Still feels fairly awkward, but you always want your health at the max because it's too dangerous otherwise. And since this should be a kid's game, it really should be auto-saving you after every battle. Just adding another checkpoint. The reason we're running into so many of these let's see. Come on, get rid of this guy so I can target the other character. Like, there is a danger, certainly, that we'd be out of stamina or out of magic right as we get to the boss battle. There's also a possibility here that this is a very small dungeon. Like, this door here may be the boss battle. All there is to it. That went badly.
Let's go.
Wow, he's literally behind us. Oh, we're in trouble. Yeah, my stupid button mashing has just allowed me to be defeated. Let's lose 10% of our money. Now, 10 guilders. Which is not as bad as it could have been. But oddly, it has reset me. And running is a mistake. Clearly. Just let one of them hit me. And then spells. Fireball. Spell fireball. That did not go well. Boy, is that a different experience. And one fight gets you back the amount of gold you lost. Maybe at some point in the future it will make sense to try and run away, but it's becoming fairly obvious that that's not the case at the moment. So, yeah. What I kind of would have thought would have happened is we would have started to see a smaller return in gold or a smaller return in XP. But it doesn't kind of feel like that's the case. Like, seems like we're fairly safe to grind if we want to so choose. The game seems to really love to target the one on the left first, where the enemy on the left tends to be the one that is further away. Remember, different versions of the same familiars and monsters are supposed to attack in different ways based on their sign. But I'm not sure we've quite gotten to the point where we figured that out. Yep. This is a single attack. It's just animated in 3 attacks, and clearly you would want to optimize that. Maybe later in the game it will optimize it where he just does one swing of the sword and that is it. Right. Let's see. So this one has to come over here. She does have sharpen instead of pebble pelt, which boosts the attack of a single ally, but the people don't seem like they're out at the same time, so it feels awkward. So, I reckon it might be worth trying to light these, Ollie boy. It's hella damp in here, and those flames won't last long. Okay. I was thinking this would be more of a... I was thinking that'd be more of a waterfall, not a place where you light fires. And that's gonna use a lot of magic points up. So, no saving, but potential shortcut opened. Of course, my own curiosity is going to kill the cat here.
We can do this. Here goes.
The pathway in the forest was pretty narrow also, so I think I just kind of managed to run through the forest without having to do a lot of conflict, but I expect this is going to be the experience. I have to point out though, it's not very balanced. Like, it would have been nice instead of having potentially what felt like nearly an hour of dialogue happen to have 20 minutes of dialogue, then some fighting, then 20 minutes of more dialogue. It'd be kind of nice to run into people who are inside these dungeons and you're like saving them. We certainly could have had to fight a little bit to do some of the side quests or get the enthusiasm either the first or the second time. Right. So this way is blocked off. Yeah. And unless I hit a point where I am like so powerful that they start running away from me, which might be the case, I'm gonna have to go everywhere if I want to fully map out a whole area. There's no holding the button to skip this. You can kind of mash the button. That's about it.
Let's do it. Here goes.
There definitely still feels like there's a chance, though, that this game and the number of dungeons and the number of enemies might be fairly small. And so that it may be a case that if I really was going to try and level up everything and grind up everything to a level 100, if that is really the max level, maybe the max level is something like 25. Like, if there's not that many dungeons to go around, it would just be far too repetitive. Like, we already kind of know that there's going to be a limited number of enemies we see. And if they do something where, say, like, this well gets reinfested with even stronger monsters a few hours from now and we have to go through it a second time, that would be kind of annoying. Poison being gone. So that reveals the map. And now there's two of them after me.
Watch this.
Okay. So it's a time thing. So you should run away if they sneak up behind you to avoid taking damage. It does feel like there's a balancing agent here in that the level 1 character familiar we just got is now at level 7 too, also. Which that potentially means that we're going to need twice as much XP to go up each level, so it might be twice as hard to get from level 10 to 11 than it was to get to level 9 to 10. And so on and so on.
Let's go. Here goes.
And that can make it fairly crazy. Like, that's what often makes a lot of RPG mechanics go excessively high in the amount of XP you have to collect. But there really does feel like there needs to be a major shift and change in just how this would work. Like, it would make so much more sense to have more of that Pokemon style of gameplay. I guess I could have probably stopped. Like, the way this controls is awkward because it's the left and right trigger to select, but it's also the left and right trigger to select the enemies in a different menu. Yep. Definitely feels like there should be some change here, though, where you would have 3 chances to potentially die, and or as many familiars as you have would be your chances to potentially die before you lose permanently. Well, I was expecting that to open that. And it didn't. I was expecting that to lead to something else that went out. So, are we supposed to race here? If this is going to be a race, why do I hear this squeaking of potentially enemies? I guess that's just drippy squeaking. Okay, I think I get it. The game wanted me to cast a fireball here. Okay. Let's see if we've got something here that would restore magic. Yep. Yes, we do. Guess that's why we were picking up the iced coffees. So it wants me to run here. And then run here. And then run this way. It's a somewhat simplistic Zelda-esque puzzle. Nothing too special, but I guess the hope is we'll run into more puzzles and less fighting. Okay. Still oddly too easy to get into a fight in this area. This really should have been more of an area where you were. This should be an area where enemies don't spawn. Okay, so what burned out? This one. Let's see. Same again. There don't seem to be any other lamps nearby this one though. Okay. So my question would be, am I going to have the ability? What's this lamp doing over here by then? Yeah. This is more complicated of a puzzle than it seems. Yeah. I think the trick here... Wait a minute, I see what's going on here. We've got to get them all lit at the same time. Now, which one should we light first? Well, I was gonna say, let's try to rejuvenate spell. That does nothing. Let's, I guess, try the fireball spell. And then run this way. And then fireball spell. Did that put out the other one? One there. Two here. We don't have enough magic points. And we don't have enough. We're gonna run out of provisions fairly quickly here. Alright. That one's not lit. That one's not lit. Make sure you don't use up your magic power, ain't it? Oh, that's useless information. Let's try the rejuvenate spell on these. Nothing happens. We can't pick them up or move them or anything though. So I've tried going back. I've tried... Is there any indication whatsoever as to the order here? So I hear a swoosh, but then you start to get away from that area and you can't really hear a swoosh then. So I don't know if there was a specific order there, and that really should have been more obvious. And probably should have involved the rejuvenate spell. I don't know if there was an order there or if there was just a timing thing where you just didn't have enough time otherwise. Also, certainly feels like one of those checkpoint stones would be really beneficial if you're going to lock me into these areas. The game went from giving me like 2 good checkpoint stones to none. I see what looks like a monster over there. And yeah, we're gonna be fighting more monsters. I imagine the map's not that much bigger, but there's still plenty of room for failure.
We can do this.
So are these little passive things? Let's go ahead and attack and see what this is like now. But there's kind of no getting around the idea of fighting things. We need the gold. We need to buy items and upgrade things. We need the XP. We need everything that it potentially offers. This might be a gate that opens later, but I wouldn't be surprised if it never does. This, on the other hand, obviously it's not going to go anywhere. And I wouldn't be surprised if there isn't actually anything really behind any of the other gates. It does kind of feel like our new familiar is potentially faster on the attack animation. It probably would benefit slightly to give a little bit more XP to the new guy. All we can. But if you were going to consistently do that, you'd want to make him your first character. This is another one of those examples of the types of things you would like to see. Well, I guess we'll have to come back here. We can't mark things on the map. Yeah, these feel like the kinds of things you'd want to automate, if you can automate them. Speed up these processes. End up fighting with less characters in general. And that might be the case, is that we are going to end up doing like 2 or 3 fights with one type of character, and then we may get evolved forms of other monsters instead. Yep. Where are we going? I guess we're going this way. I'm hoping I have seen everything.
We can do this. Here goes.
It's going to be a little weird, I think, if we get into the ocean, but that is where we have to go. If you look at the map that we see of this world, is that unless the ocean is just a fast travel experience, we are going to end up, I imagine, fighting giant octopuses or squids or krakens or something. Well, it definitely does feel like we are coming back to this whole area at some point. Unless the rejuvenate spell did something here, or Springlock spell did something here. We are coming back to this whole well. Oddly, we haven't seen any mice so far. HP and magic completely restored. Save progress, absolutely. We will go ahead and get rid of... Yeah, probably could get rid of one of these to start with. And I guess we leveled up, so we're kind of fine. We could... Let's see. Come over to this different screen. And try and give him even more attack. Yeah, the growth limit here of 10. I'm now realizing that the green plus 7 of 10 is the combined plus 4 attack and plus 3 accuracy. So, yeah. It's not going to be a factor, really, of his... it's really not going to be a factor of his fullness that's going to be the problem. It's going to be a factor of the growth limit. And so if familiarity goes up, maybe the growth limit will go up. But maybe it won't. Maybe that is just going to be the maximum you can do with a character, is you can give him 10 extra levels above whatever his base levels would have been. Also, I've created a weird situation now where I need to specifically try and buy food to increase his defense once, his magic attack once, his magic defense once, and then his accuracy one more time, and then attack one more time. Because if I have these extra green bars and I hit the growth limit, then I can't really do anything with him. So that probably was a waste of resources. We're all of a sudden outside, which I was not expecting that. And we can see a giant mouse fighting a giant cat. And is this going to be 3D voiced, 3D not voiced, or 2D voiced? He does have a wand.
So he wasn't kidnapped. Oh, the crook struck one. Oh.
This cat is not anatomically correct. Hickory Dock. The mouse that ran the clock. That ran up the clock, I think, is the old saying. I imagine a lot of those sayings are not even something. Here's the thing, though. Do you go with your guy, or is this just straight up fight him by hand? Let's see. Let's try with Sandblast to start with. Alright. Ah, that furry fool's only gone and tripped himself up. Now's your chance to give him a good hiding. Oh, Ollie boy. Alright, let's see. Cut loose. 14 damage. We're doing even a single spell, though. It does like 20. Alright. So he just doesn't even care. Alright, my guy's confused. Come on, Mon, get a grip. You need to watch out for that tailspin attack, Ollie boy. You get your familiars. Mind you, that Thumbermere of yours did something interesting. The story just didn't give me time to read that whole thing. Again, if this is supposed to be a if this is supposed to be a kid's game. Like, going wild had no effect. Sharpen my guy's attack. Alright, come on, come on, come on. Provisions. Restore 30 HP. Spell. Fireball. You have to be really careful here. Oh yeah, and really attacking him is totally a mistake. Restore 100 HP, we're not quite to that point yet. And I'm awkwardly trying to use both the D-pad and the attack that guy. Get real close to attack. Right. This guy's gonna win for us, I think. Not doing anything particularly special. I mean, I gotta be careful though. I'm about to lose health if I'm not careful. This is very awkward, particularly considering how I'm playing on easy. Like, there definitely felt like there were cases there where I could have failed, and if a fairly seasoned adult player like me can potentially fail, I definitely see scenarios where kids would have failed and struggled with that. And I don't know what the game is really telling the player to do if they couldn't get past this battle. You dirty rats, I'll get you next time. So we are gonna have to come back and fight him later, I guess. Knickers, he got away. And he got another stupid catchphrase in before he left and all. Never mind that, Mr. Drippy. What about King Tom? You're right, man. We'd better see how he's doing. Your Majesty, are you okay? Oh, it's you. Come on, Kingface, pull yourself together. One's wand. One retrieved it from the villain who purloined it. Your Majesty? Knickers, 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 Your Majesty, Your Majesty. So are we gonna get a wand, or do we have to go fight the guy again? To get the wand?
The Zodiacs are assembled, Your Radiance.
I thank you all for attending. Very well. I hereby call the council to order.
You are all doubtless aware of the purpose of this session.
We are here to discuss the elimination of the pure-hearted one.
So these are gonna be
Dark Jinn.
the real bad guys.
Summoned me, White Witch.
The so-called savior from the other world. He must be destroyed.
So this is like the beginning of the second
It is
act.
time that you proved yourself worthy of the title of executor.
On one condition.
Executor. I would have said that was executor.
Go on.
Very well. I must request that you entrust this task to me and me alone. Hear me, members of the council. I have no need of your aid.
He thinks himself our equal. What gives him the right
He is either very brave or
to presume to give us?
So
Babbling fools.
the idea here is I think he might actually be
Very
your
well.
father. The Dark
Pull up
Jinn
your
might be your
wish,
father.
Shadar. I entrust the task entirely to you. Teach those who speak of a savior the futility of their hope.
Why is this cutscene not animated
Oliver, this
in the flat 2D Ghibli art style?
with the blackness of despair.
Yeah, that's a real question to ask. you have to assume that Ghibli probably was not involved, whether they couldn't afford to pay them to include the White Witch as the bad guy, or maybe they just didn't feel like Ghibli, it was worth paying Ghibli to do their art style in when drawing something negative, since for the vast majority of Ghibli movies it is mostly positive animations and good guys that they're drawing. Not to say that they haven't done it before. They've done it a lot before in other Ghibli movies, but maybe they ran out of budget. Maybe the White Witch as a concept was introduced some much later point in pre-production. I really wouldn't be surprised if all the 2D animations that we have here were done 8 years before the game came out, and everything else was made around what they got as far as the rest of the game. There definitely were points in Ghibli's history where they had only a certain amount of time to work on something, and they would have taken on side projects to make enough money to survive, because animation does not pay. Even when you are Studio Ghibli, it really doesn't pay, and the only way to even start to make it pay is to overbook your animators and have them work on multiple projects at the same time. We've seen this in the case of a lot of TV anime series where one TV show animated by a animation house looks really good, and then the other one doesn't look quite as good because they didn't have as much time, or they just weren't paid as much and they prioritized, or maybe they just weren't as enthusiastic as much about the other show, and so they prioritized. If one thanks you once, one thanks you 1,000 times. You saved one's life back there. Oh, I do have to applaud them going to a cutscene so we don't have to see the cat getting up and then walking back to the castle. That's a nice way to hide some transversal. But yeah, they've introduced this idea now on top of fighting potentially sub-bosses. We may end up fighting all of the Zodiac, which would be like 12, 13 people. That seems like a lot considering how small the map is. You saved one's life back there. Looks like you're feeling a bit better now, eh, Your Majesty? But you weren't kidnapped after all. There's funny, my reasoning was a bit off. You didn't think I'm losing my touch, do you, Ollie boy? I'm just glad the king is safe. That's the most important thing, isn't it, Your Majesty? Yeah, well, never mind all that. One is just perfectly livid that the villain Hickory Dock got the better of one. All because the loss of one's enthusiasm led to being caught catnapping. To think he managed to purloin one's greatest treasure. Meow, it is unforgivable. But one's wand is back in one's possession now. That is the main thing. Now one can finally bestow it upon you. Thank you, Your Majesty. Bring forth one's wand.
This is one's magic wand. When one
Back to voice acting.
One ran quite wild with the old thing. Here, it is yours now.
Thank you very much, Your Majesty.
If you know who finds out about this, one fears we shall both live to regret it. But one could hardly say no to one so very pure.
When you say you know who, you mean Shadar, don't you?
There's no need to say it out loud, is there? Yes, that is who one knew.
Your Majesty, you've gone and given him the wand now. There's no going back.
One supposes so.
Don't worry, Your Majesty. I'll bring down Shadar. You'll see.
So I imagine there's either 3 or 4 levels of magic wands, since there are 3 levels of chests that seem to exist. So you'll probably now be able to open 1 or maybe even 2 levels of chests, and then if we can open 2 levels of chests on top of the ones that don't require any magic to open, then maybe there's just going to be 1 more upgraded magic wand. You've obtained the magic wand. Now, for coming to the aid of one in one's hour of need, let us also present you with some new magic. One hopes it will prove useful. Boy, that rejuvenate spell was not important, obviously. They just gave it to you and did not require you to use it at all. You received the page describing the frostbite spell. Golly, thank you, Your Majesty. I can't wait to try it out. I'm going to become the best wizard ever. Mal, really. Very eager, aren't we? In that case, there's a forest south of one's kingdom known as Golden Grove, and beyond that lies a vast desert. In the midst of the desert is a city called Al Mamoon. We must travel there next. Its ruler is somewhat, but never mind that. Rashad, one of the 4 great sages, once dwelled there, and he still does, one presumes. The great sages, you mean the proper mighty wizards Alicia used to be one of? Alicia. If you wish to expand your magical knowledge, one is sure to the aid of the sages will prove invaluable. Really, thank you, Your Majesty. Rydo is off to the desert to find us the next great sage. Al Mamoon, here we come. Okay. We can't sit in this chair. There's nothing here. So unless the game is going to give us some new side quests in the city, I think all we can do is do a little bit of shopping and maybe a little bit of experimenting. Let's see. I'm noticing that there's a couple people with heart pieces. Let's see what this guy says. Did you know the great tug-of-war tail tournament soon? I can't wait to give everyone a licking. What's tug-o-tail? What? What kind of person doesn't know what tug-o-tail is? Me, I guess. Have you heard of it, Mr. Drippy? Of course I have, Mon. Tug-o-tail is the most popular pastime in all of Ding Dong Dell. That's right, it's a big tournament soon. It's my chance to prove myself. I didn't win a single match last time. I can't wait to try again. Can't wait, eh? That's marvelous. I'm gonna put on the performance of a lifetime. I suppose I better start practicing. Mr. Drippy, do you think? I most certainly do, boy. Overflowing with enthusiasm he is. Say, I don't suppose you would mind if I borrowed some of your enthusiasm. Borrow it? How can you borrow it? Sounds pretty strange to me. Meh, who cares? I'm curious. Go for it. Thank you. Okay, hold still for a moment. So we'll grab some enthusiasm, since we didn't have any. The distilled spirit of get up and go. How strange, my chest feels all fluttery. Anyhow, I better think about practicing. And then there's somebody over here, and if they have enthusiasm, then we should ask this guy. Ah, another fine day, and soon I shall be off to work. Boy, you sure are full of beans. What line of work are you in, mister? Me? I'm just a humble woodcutter. And your job is ain't your job a bit dangerous with all the beasties roaming around outside? A little perhaps, but there's a shortage of wood here in Ding Dong Dell. If I don't go out and work my hardest, our dear town will suffer. What's a little danger compared to that, What an answer. There's heroic. He's got enthusiasm to spare. Oh ho, you flatter me. This may sound a little odd, but would you mind if I borrowed some of it? Sure, anything. Hang on, Ollie boy, you've already got some of that in your locket, ain't it? You can't hog it all yourself. Go and share a bit you've got now with someone in need first. There's a good lad. Okay. So I suspect this is going to be a case where the enthusiasm may be the only thing we can collect at the moment. And we'll have to work from there later. But we'll probably have to go to the next city to collect something different. This one is a quest we've already done. This is a new quest. Oh, my poor befuddled brain. Everything seems such a bother. Is everything okay? Ever since I woke up this morning, I just haven't been able to bring myself to do anything. Nothing seems worth bothering. Nothing at all. Oh, come on, Mom. There's plenty of work doing. Washing your face, brushing your teeth, and having a bit of breakfast for start. But all those things are just so bothersome. Can't I just leave them till later? But if you leave them until later, when will your day ever begin? Exactly, if I don't get things done, they just keep on building up until you're right in a pickle. Really? But I just can't be bothered. So here's the Procrastinator Quest, which that's no ordinary lazy bones there, Mon. That's a broken-hearted boyos. Has every drop of enthusiasm sucked right out of him. Alright, so we take the quest, and then it cuts out the background music and the background sound effects. If I give him back his get up and go, he'll stop putting things off. Start getting on with them again. Alright, so we'll give him our enthusiasm we collected. And that's kind of a cool animation and all, but it's probably not necessary to see that every time. Oh my, suddenly I feel awake and full of life. Nito, you really weren't lazy after all. You were just broken-hearted, huh? I was? Gasp. But this is terrible. I haven't even eaten my breakfast yet. That's why my stomach's rumbling. And there are fields to tend to. Whatever have I been doing? Not a lot, pal. Not a lot. Haha, so it would seem. Well, I'm awake at last, and it seems like I have you to thank. Yeah, if it isn't much, but please accept this token of my thanks. So we have 30 guilder and 3 loaves. We finished this errand. So there might be just enough errands to get everything done in one card. Done. And let's see. There might be some extra enthusiasm lying around to collect. Let's see. It might be a case that the errands that do exist are these pots refill. I've now figured out. Or some of them refill, not all of them. In every city there might be enough errands to do one card, and that's it. Let's talk to this guy. Let's just skip through the dialogue. I do think our gameplay is going to very quickly just boil down to this, is that we're going to lose our enthusiasm, pun intended, for gathering enthusiasm. Let's see. I think I'll just go home and have a nap. Whatever's got into you, this is no time for sleeping. Oh, do be quiet. Is everything okay? It's my wife. She is such a busy bee until recently, but now she wants to do is sleep. She hasn't done a jot of work in days, but it's all so tiring. The cleaning, the washing, the shopping, ugh. I'd much rather have a nice day than struggling to get through all of that. All of these quests should have shown themselves while the king was brokenhearted also, if they were going to push the idea that the king affects every citizen in his domain. It's kind of weird now that we've already fixed the brokenheartedness of the king. All of a sudden a bunch of other people are brokenhearted. Let's see. We'll agree to take the quest. And we will give her a heart. Oddly, this is not going to level me up, so my health and my magic is kind of in a bad place, so we really need to spend a night at the end. At the end before we leave. Okay. So then, I think what we have to go do here is back this way, collect the enthusiasm from the other guy, and then there's one more person that has a new side quest. This is really pretty, but what you have here, particularly in this section, is a nice little demo, like with a fountain and a area of people walking around. What you don't have in this area in particular is an actual game. That nothing happens in that environment other than talking to a few people. Let's see. Let's see what these two are talking about. Just, they're standing next to each other like they're having a conversation, but they're not really having a conversation. Right. So we should come back up here and see if we can open this. Spring lock. Current wand is not powerful enough to open those kinds of chests. So we can't open purples. And that straight up tells us there will be another kind of wand. Unless I did not actually equip the wand. Wow. Well, the wand definitely significantly increased the amount of attack and magical damage I do. And it probably is a case that there will be some number of wands, but if they're in this order, there may not be that many of them. Yep. It is definitely a catch-22 when I say I want to play a JRPG, but I really want to have more of an abridged experience. Here's a guy that's dressed oddly. I say, dear boy, by the cut of your jib, I hazard to guess you've been a traveling man. What and a jolly fine occupation it is. Are you a traveler too, sir? Very shrewd boy, I am indeed. Inherited a pretty pile from my maiden aunt and decided to travel the world, don't you know? Blimey, it's all right for some, eh? Spare a guilder for a struggling fairy aristocrat, there's a gent. Aha, very droll, dear boy, very droll. But I'm not just pootling around handing out alms. Alms is a very old-fashioned word, again, for a kid's game. To the poor, you know. I'm writing my memoirs, you see. A sort of travel diary. You know, the kind of thing. You really should read it. It's corking stuff. Here, it's just, oh, I say. It must be Dashiell. It's not here. It barely went up and grown legs. You lost your diary? Yes, I really think I have. I must have left it somewhere. Damned fool that I am. Oh, this really is an absolute limit. My literary legacy gone, all gone. There's a tragic poor bloke. Do you reckon we could offer help? Alright, so we're gonna look for the missing Diary. Where did you last see it? A river northwest of here. To compose. Alright. The water is a little island in the stream. Small island, couple trees. So you're gonna just have to remember that, all that. Unfortunately, that isn't going to quite get us where we wanted to be as far as finishing quests. Let's see. Let's see what this guy has to buy. Okay. Horns and claws for 150 would get this guy up to 36. This for 30. Like these leafy mantles I probably could get for free. A shield with might be worth it. Honestly though, I think you start with a giant's tooth as an accessory for you. But I don't know if that's really worth it. I think this is worth it. This would not be better. This would not be better. Or at least it wouldn't be as balanced. So none of those other things are even considerable. I could spend 30G on that. Or I could just give this guy a shield for 80G. I could also equip this another one if I had another one. Okay. What this doesn't do for us though is it doesn't let us fully upgrade or fully equip any characters, which is where I would more prefer to be. Just to have a character fully equipped in case there's some kind of achievement around that. We should be able to unlock this one. So let's see what's in here. Just a sandwich. And it may be a case that honestly you would get better rewards if you didn't open the treasure chest, but maybe I'll leave the city and be able to get the treasure chests there. You have a nice little painting. It's probably too detailed and textured for all the other things in this building. There are some other paintings that are smaller, but when you compare the low polygon chests here to that painting, that's a lot of detail. Okay, so if we go over here, select him. This would increase defense. Right, so we max that out. Need a magical attack. Familiarity increased to 2. We can now increase this ability up to 20 times. Okay. Alright. So we need probably about 3 chocolates, 1 magical attack, 1 magical defense, and We're gonna have to wait until he's no longer full anyways. We may just not be able to afford a lot of this. We would need one of these. One of these. And maybe just buy. We'll just. Well, actually, I think you are better off spending all your money and being always broke. Because you lose money when you die, you don't lose items. So, like, the poison begons here, having 5 of those in our inventory, or having sandwiches in our inventory, or having white bread in our inventory is perfectly fine. Of course, might be better if we save some money to sleep at the inn. But I think it only costs 10 gold to sleep at the inn. It doesn't quite feel like it's going to be a clean break, and I know I've been going almost an hour and 50 minutes, so I need to wrap up. But yeah, it doesn't feel like you can quite do everything you would want to do. The errands are available. First dweller living in the eastern part of Rolling Hills appears to be having some difficulty. We'll see if we can do that. Diary should be in the northwest of Ding Dong Dell. Some of these quests are definitely going all over the place. We only need to accomplish one thing though, so if I did the splash of color, which probably is a lot easier than these other two, then I could get the stamp card, and I could come back and return the stamp card. And then we need to, fairly quickly after that, leave this city and come back later. So let's stay at the inn and see if it gives us any more pages. Stay. It very well may not give us any more pages since we've already stayed in this inn once. Let's go ahead and making new save. That didn't do anything for us as far as giving us new pages. Let's see if we can zoom in here. Get a general idea of how many pages still are to be revealed. There's still a lot of them. We're not getting through that very fast. As far as life's lessons, we may not have too much more as far as little hints. Apparently affinities and resistance are a thing. I don't feel like the game really told me that. We have now more characters that we really have fought. Hickory Dock is 337, whereas the Guardian of the Woods was 335. So most of the bad guys feel like the big bad guys are going to be in that area. If the habitats are going to be so limited like this, either it's going to have to add a scroll bar, or there's going to actually be very few places and very few dungeons. It'd be kind of weird if we ended up having to go back to the same habitats over and over again. But that might be the case. It may be that there really just aren't that many places. Deep Dark Woods, here we can see there's some number of reds, some number of blues, and it's been 89% explored. So I wonder what would tell us whether the full amount. Ding Dong Well had 4 out of 4 red chests, so we found all of them, but we didn't get any of the blues or greens or purples, so we're definitely going to have to come back to that area later. Our overall completion, though, the numbers are not moving up very fast. Wizard's Companion, your Wizard Manual, only at 11%. Creature Compendium is now up to 4%, which is still really small. Task completion is down to 3%, and clearly there's 3 other things that the game is going to have us do on top of this, which we still don't know what that is. And journal-wise, we went from, I think we were maybe somewhere around 13 when we started this episode. We're down to 16 now. Anyways, we've already gone long, though. That's going to be it for this recording. As always, I ask you to like, share, subscribe, comment, and watch every second of my videos. If you want a friend or follow me on any social media sites, there's a whole bunch of links down below. Thank you for watching. Have a good evening.